Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the October 24th River Falls City Council meeting. First thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Christy, can I have a roll call, please?
Bierstead.
Here.
Bjork.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Downey.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Odine.
Here.
Okay, next I have approval of minutes from the October 10th regular and workshop minutes and the September 26th workshop minutes.
So, second.
First and second, questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move on to approval of the bills with Mr. Bjork.
I would like to make a motion to approve the bills of $1,049,911.08 with approval from the comptroller.
Second.
First and second, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move on to public comment. Public comments will be 2 minutes. So if there's anybody in the audience has anything they'd like to say, now would be the time. Come on up.
I appear once again before the council on behalf of the poorest residents of River Falls. The last time I was before you, I offered and requested that we discuss solutions to homelessness in River Falls. No one has responded to that, so I'm going to be fairly safely assuming that no one's interested in solutions. I'm here because the anti-homeless, anti-camping or no camping ordinance you recently passed is being enforced only on the homeless, primarily on severely disabled individuals that are only trying to shelter themselves as winter comes on, and unfortunately in places which are not subject to its enforcement. I've attempted to contact Chief Young. He's non-responsive, but it only applies, if I read it correctly, and please let me know if I'm not, to city-owned or city-leased property. And the vast majority of the citations that have been issued to the homeless at this point have been properties neither leased nor owned by the city. As the top law enforcement officials in the city, you, especially the mayor, I'm imploring you to please only enforce the law as it's written and not have River Falls' finest use it wrongly. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience have anything?
Mr. Mayor, I have a public comment.
Yep, go ahead.
I'd like to quickly thank Public Works Director Erica Ellison. On Saturday, this last Saturday, the Rotary Club in town cleaned up, as we do every year, cleaned up Veterans Park, and she worked, she came in and brought down some city equipment and helped us clear out some of the stuff out of the Veterans Park and did it on her own time. So I want to recognize her efforts and thank her. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else have anything? Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recognize October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. That's why I'm wearing purple today. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else have anything? Okay, we'll close the council hearing and open up a public hearing on resolution authorizing special assessment police powers under section 66.0703 Wisconsin statutes for the benefit of the River Falls Business Improvement District. And we have Jolene Larson here tonight from the bid board to give us a little presentation on this.
Good evening. Here I am again. Tonight we're here to ask for your support again for 2024 and discuss any questions you might have and bring you up to speed of what we've done in 2023. We are 34 years old. We started in 1989 and 1990. And our boundary is from North Division Street going south to Cascade, and then it goes and catches the property over the Division Street Bridge along the White Pathway, and the businesses on Second Street, for those of you who don't understand where the bid is. The bid was started to augment and support the improvement, business retention, and the beautification of our core historical district. We are the single source and the only really primary economic development program totally charged with the River Falls downtown historic Main Street. That's the only place we work. And for the last 20 years, we've invested a little over $1.1 million into that district. Almost 95% of our money goes towards our constituents within grants or programming or that kind of thing. We do give the city a stipend for doing our meeting notices and helping us with mailing and that kind of thing. And they have staff that comes to all our meetings, which we're internally grateful for. And then we also have a couple programs that I'm going to highlight tonight where we're going to be working with the city on some internships. COVID and now with inflation has really kind of mixed up the small business world. And we're happy to report that we are guardedly optimistic for 2024. It is a real challenge with the lack of manpower for businesses, just the lack of goods, and there's a lot of uncertainty that's making people very nervous. So for 2023, it was we didn't have a lot of large projects, and when we spoke to our financial partners, they weren't seeing a lot of large projects being invested in the downtown either, because people are just being very careful with their money. We continue to support music in the park, and this year they had 2 large concerts that drew a ton of people to River Falls, and we are looking forward to collaboration with them next year. We also continue to invest in community art in our downtown district and have several projects in the works for that for 2024. We maintain the Second Street Gardens and the planters on Main Street. And earlier this year, a number of us met, city staff and I went to, met with the agriculture and horticultural staff at UWRF, and we have put $2,000 in our budget that will go through Erica and work with Public Works for an internship program that will be working jointly for those, hopefully for some gardens on our area in our district, but as well as throughout the city. We're also very thankful for the city's help in watering the baskets, hanging the baskets, and taking care of all the Second Street Gardens for us. Without them, we would not be able to do it. We're running out of volunteers. We're all getting old. We're also looking forward to doing some different baskets next year, and we're kind of excited about that as well. We're continuing to work with the River Falls Chamber and the River Dazzle project. It's coming up. It's November 24th, I believe. That's a Thursday. The Chili Crawl, that event is 26 years old and brings a ton of people to River Falls. And so we're one of the main funding sources for that. We also supported the River Falls business leaders. They're fairly new to the downtown marketing game, but they're doing a really good job, and we've put some money in our budget for that, and it will continue to support them in 2024. We can continue to support the Main Street with garbage cans and benches for folks to sit on, and we redeveloped our website. We also supported facade and sign grants for a number of buildings, including at the Edward Jones building on 2nd Street, Tarnation Tavern. We have a new chiropractor, Cadlick Chiropractic, the Kinney properties, and that property is the building that's being redone next to Lori's Day Spa. I don't know if you recall the home that was there, but they've done a marvelous job redoing that house. The Swinging Bridge and Glass Express. We also have our Eyes to the Future, so when you look at our budget, you'll notice that we have a line item for monies that we set aside each year for large projects for Main Street. We're thinking that somewhere down the road that there's some talk about River Falls being downtown, the Main Street being redeveloped and redesigned, and we want to be ready. So we've got a little fun for that as well. We want to thank you for your past support. We look forward to working for 2024. And if you've got any questions, I would entertain them. And lastly, don't forget to trick or treat on Tuesday downtown from 3 to 5. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Hang on one second. I want to, so we're in a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience has any questions about this? Okay, so we'll close the public hearing and reopen the council hearing. And then if council's got any questions.
Do you have to be in a costume to get trick or treat?
You could come, you're scary enough.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just wanted to thank you for all the work that you guys do and the ability to be a great community partner with the city.
Thanks. It's a lot of work in it, but it's fun.
Thanks, Jolene.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a motion on this.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the resolution authorizing special police powers to benefit the River Falls Business Improvement District.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we'll close the council hearing and open up another public hearing on ordinance 2023-13. This is an ordinance appropriating the necessary funds for the operation of the government and administration of the city of River Falls, Wisconsin for the year 2024. So this is the first reading. And Finance Director Josh is going to give us a little presentation here.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and council members. So let's just jump into it. So this is the 2024 budget. What you're being asked for the first reading tonight for is to review the 2024 budget for all funds and the tax levy for 2023 that we'll be collecting in 2024 since we collect in arrears in Wisconsin. And then at the next meeting, you'll have the second reading and adoption for these two items. So I don't want to steal any thunder from Karen here, but I did just want to provide a really quick update from our second, or I guess it would be our first and only budget workshop. After that workshop, we were fortunate to get some good news on our health insurance renewal that Karen will be going into more detail about. And so we have incorporated some adjustments into the 2024 budget since that budget workshop. So in our general fund, we were able to reallocate $105,700 in the form of a one-time transfer to the library for their elevator power unit repair project that's in the CIP that would have otherwise been paid for with library fund balance. We thought making a one-time transfer from the general fund to defray that cost would be beneficial to them. And then the remainder of $80,700 then we just have going to contingency in the event that there were to be any turnover in 2024 that would necessitate contractual support or something like that, or any other scenario in which we would need to utilize contingency for something unforeseen. And then for the library and all other funds, we were able to essentially just apply this adjustment in the form of expense reductions. So you can see there what we did with that health insurance, the good news we got that Karen will be talking more about. And then for budget comparison, so this is going from adopted 2023 to what's proposed for 2024. So what we're proposing is a budget for all funds totaling $53,131,499. That's a 13% increase from the adopted 2023 budget. Most of that, about $5.5 million of that, are actually attributable to those notable changes that I have at the bottom. So in the general fund, as you recall, we'll be doing some cash financing for the fire station design, and that's that supplemental shared revenue that we received word from the state that we would be receiving. Public safety is one of the allowable uses of that money. It's not, unfortunately, cities aren't able to use it for anything. The state is prescribing certain uses for it, public safety being one of them. We thought, utilizing that one-time cash, or it'll be ongoing cash after this year, but for 2024, it's the first time we'll see it. Let's utilize it for fire station design and a small portion for the police roof project. The special revenue funds, there's a large increase there, almost $1 million, and that's really just due to the creation of Tax Increment District 19 for Man Valley. So the borrowing that we did this year, we'll have the debt service for that coming online in 2024, and that's what you see there. And then for capital projects, the South Lawson Lane project totals almost $4 million. And so that's why you see such a large increase for the 2023 adopted capital projects to 2024. The remaining balance then of about $5 to $6 million then, or I'm sorry, $500 to $600,000 then for a total increase really just comes down to inflationary adjustments that departments would have requested when we prepared the original biennial budget, thinking ahead to that second year of the budget. There was the cost of living adjustment that will go into effect 1/1 of 24, and then class and compensation implementations included in here as well. So then when you do an original 2024 to an updated 2024 comparison, and this is one of the slides I would have reviewed with you at the workshop, because again, the bulk of the work for this year is already done. It was done when we did the 23-24 biennial budget. That's one of the benefits of our process is this is really kind of our off year, if you will. So for the departments that are doing all the day-to-day work, this is really nice for them because they're able to focus on doing the great work that they do. And we're really just coming in and making some adjustments. So those adjustments would include things like that one-time cash in the general fund I mentioned, increases to interfund allocations in the general fund as well. You can see personnel costs in that elevator power unit repair I mentioned in the library fund that we'll be transferring some money from the general fund to the library for. An increase to interfund allocations for a city hall solar panel project out of our electric utility. And then, as I mentioned at the workshop, there are some reallocations between utilities that we did, just trying to true up kind of how our staff are costing and charging their time out. The addition of TID 19, South Lawson Lane that I mentioned, we did delay a street sweeper in our capital equipment fund. I mentioned that at the workshop as well. And then in our IT fund, we have security upgrades and then those city hall solar panels, which will be budgeted out of our city hall fund with a transfer of cash from the electric utility. That's why you actually see that represented in two funds. And so that's how you get from the original 2024 of $49.8 million to an updated 2024 budget of $53.1. The proposed net levy, that hasn't changed since the workshop. So we do have a gross levy increase of 3.7% from 2023. That compares to a gross levy increase of 5.24% going from 2022 to 23. So the gross levy increase has decreased a bit from what last year's was. And then the net levy increase, after you factor in growth that contributes to our levy capacity, that results in kind of a, once you net out that growth, a net levy increase of 2.06%, which is also a decrease from what we saw going from 2022 to 2023. And just as a reminder, like we talked about at the fiscal plan workshops, we do have kind of that understood target for that net levy increase of 4%. So we're in good shape here. And then for the proposed levy then in terms of just the raw dollar amounts, for 2024, what we're asking council for authorization for is a levy of $7,795,350. That again is an increase of 3.78% compared to the tax year 22 collected 23 levy of $7,511,253. But it is lower than what was originally contemplated in the fiscal plan for 2022 through 2026. So we haven't asked you yet to adopt the new fiscal plan. So we're still working off the kind of the current fiscal plan numbers, which would be that 22 through 26 fiscal plan. So larger, we're increasing from 23, but when you compare it to what was in the fiscal plan, we're coming in lower than what was originally contemplated there. And so then this example at the bottom, which I'd reviewed with you already once before, again, as a reminder, this is an example of a Pierce County residence. This is city-only levy, excluding the TID portion of the levy. And because we don't have that community-wide revaluation yet to adjust to market or to equalize value, we are assessing at about 80% of equalized right now, and that's why we're still using $250,000 as an average household. That will increase when the community revaluation is done in a couple years. But using the existing example of a $250,000 house, an average Pierce County residence tax bill would be $1,493. And to kind of prove the math there, I showed that how you get there at the bottom. You just take the Pierce County portion of the tax levy, you actually divide that by the assessed value for Pierce County, which is $855.8 million. You get a really long mill rate there, and you just multiply your house value by that mill rate, and there's your bill for that particular tax category. So then just to quickly review the 2024 capital improvement plan. Again, biosolids, we borrowed for it this year. The bulk of the expenses will begin this next year. That's $8.5 million that we borrowed for on a general obligation basis. We have South Lawson Lane, which is a combination of state of Wisconsin funds and ARPA dollars. The fire station design, which is the cash financed kind of shared revenue application in our general fund. We do have a couple of anticipated borrowings. Just as a reminder, these are development dependent borrowings, so we're not going into 24 assuming these will occur. These will only occur should there be a development that would require the electric infrastructure to be built. And those projects are the North Substation Transformer and County Road MM Feeder Phase 2. Both of those are budgeted at $500,000 a piece, revenue bonds for the electric utility. Then there's a new generator at the wastewater treatment plant. We have that budgeted as being paid for with wastewater utility cash, so no anticipated borrowing there. We believe the utility can support cash financing that. Same with City Hall solar panels. That's powerful, technically Powerful Choices money, but it's electric utility cash, kind of all the same, even though we do have kind of a separate bucket for that. And then the Hoffman Basin flood study, which we have budgeted for, assuming that we'll receive a grant for that. So then to finish up here, again, what is before you in the form of an ordinance is the 2024 portion of the 23-24 biennial budget. That totals $53,131,499. As a reminder, you're approving that by functional area and fund. So what I mean by that is within the general fund, we have categories that we call functional areas, and the labeling of those functional areas aren't our choice. Those are actually the state statute. That's the way they require it to be phrased and worded. And then within our funds, you're approving expense authorization then outside of the general fund on a fund by fund basis. But for the state's purpose, we have to present it the way they want it to be presented to them. So then you're providing authority to staff to implement the budget. And then approval of the tax levy for tax year 2023 that again will be levied this year but collected in 2024. And that totals $7,795,350, an increase of 3.78%, and a net increase of 2.06, as I mentioned earlier. And with the ordinance, will be authorizing the levy on taxable properties. So that's what I have for you for the first reading, and we'll be back for the second at the next.
Okay,
Glad to take questions.
thanks, Josh. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions about this? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and open up the council hearing again. And, oops. Yep,
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify that the items 4 through 10 are all consent. So we do have staff available to answer any questions, but we don't have any reports scheduled for any of those unless you ask questions. So
yeah.
just clarifying on the health insurance that Karen is not planning to provide a
that's fine.
report on that.
Okay.
I think she's hoping not to provide it.
And there's a member of staff assigned to each item, and then we also have the audit firm available if there should be questions and if you decide to pull that off. But otherwise, all of those are on consent.
Okay. So close this public hearing, we open up the council hearing. I'll take a motion on this this is first reading. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. When we talked about one of the items in there, we called it County Road Double M, which doesn't exist anymore. Do we need to change that to Powell Avenue?
So it still has a county highway designation. It's a local road for a portion. I'm not sure which.
Okay, so it does still
Which
have County
project?
Road Double M designation then? It's for the,
You're talking about double M. I'm sorry.
yep, Double M.
I'm not sure there is a county double M any longer.
I don't think there is. And
That's what we started calling that, Jeff, a
Yep.
few years ago, and then we just overlooked the big changes.
yeah, I'm just kind of thinking we probably should change it to what it really is, Powell Avenue. It's because in the years, going forward, people, what's Double M? So
And which part of the budget are you referring to?
It was, so he had something up there, the loop, was it the?
So,
The electric looping?
yeah, yep,
So,
yep. So that's in the electric looping, and we can change
Yeah.
we can change the title of that, no problem. Get it updated in our documents.
That makes
It
sense.
really, it's nothing major. I just, you know, it doesn't exist anymore, so we might as well update it.
Absolutely.
okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, move on to consent agenda. First thing is acknowledgement of the following minutes. We have the library board from 6/5/23, 8/7/23. We have the utility advisory board from 9/18/23. We have the historic preservation commission from 10/11/23. We have the park and rec advisory board from 9/20/23. We have the River Falls Housing Authority from 6/14, 7/12, and 9/13/23. Next thing is resolution approving the 2024 health and dental insurance renewal. Next one is a resolution amending the fee schedule for 2024. Next one is a resolution approving an amendment to the developers agreement with FAO River Falls LLC. And we have a resolution authorizing the state local BRIC agreement for a flood control study. Next one is a resolution for the acceptance of public improvements associated with Highview Meadows 6th and 7th edition. And the last one is a resolution approving 2022 audited financial statements and management report. Does anybody want to pull anything?
Mr. Mayor, I want to pull number 7, and then I also want a quick clarification from staff, if we could. On our agenda is item 4C, West Central Wisconsin biosolids, I believe. There's two.
Oh, it is.
There's 2 on there, but I don't see it in the packet anymore, so I just want to make sure we're following all the open meeting laws and all the different things, but I don't see it in the packet. So I don't know if we need to take action on, we can't take action on something we don't have.
Right.
Yeah, we can modify the consent agenda to exclude C.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll take a motion on everything else except for 7.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 4A, B, D, E, and F, items 5, 6, 8, and 9, and 10.
Second. You got a second?
Yes, there's a second.
Okay,
Mr. Pierce
questions or comments on any of it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then Mr. Morissette, you pulled number 7.
I pulled number 7 because I have a conflict of interest in my business life on that topic, so I will need to abstain.
Okay,
If the clerk would please mark me as abstain. So if I could have
take somebody else too. Somebody else want to,
I will go ahead and then motion approval for 7.
Second.
first and second, questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next, we'll go on to the comptroller's report.
The comptroller's report for September 2023. General fund revenues through the end of September were $10,115,949, or 79% of total budgeted revenues for the year. Revenues in September include $32,221 for building permits, $20,527 for vehicle registration fees, and $7,199 for camp dumping fees. Expenditures through the end of September were $9,050,903, or 71% of total budgeted expenditures for the year. So as of September 30, 2023, net revenue over expenditures were $1,065,046.
Thanks, Diane. Okay, next I just have one appointment I'd like to make. I'd like to appoint Grace Birdseye to the River Falls Housing Authority through December of 26.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we accept your appointment.
Second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to adjourn.
Wait, I have a question for Mr. Simpson, if I could. Scott, what happened with, the fire department did not get the grants that they were looking for the cameras and radios? Is that right, or?
if you're referring to the fire grants, we applied for
Right.
a truck and for radios, and we were not successful in either this round.
All right. And are they looking at different avenues to try to find resources for that then, or?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other question I had was, could you give a progress of what's going on out at Sterling Ponds with excavating out there and
Sterling Ponds has the implementation of the development agreement the council approved for, and I don't recall the name of the LLC, but it's about approximately 100,000 square foot industrial building.
okay. So they're leveling all that, and then what's the schedule, or what are we looking at for something to be put in up there?
They have approved site and building plans as far as I recall, so I suspect they'll do it in haste. So you'll see, and that's, I believe, concrete tip-up construction, so it should be, you might see it depending on how they get the foundation poured, I guess, how fast the walls go up.
Okay, all right.
And it's I believe it's Ryan Company, so it'll be similar pace as what you might have saw along 94 in Woodbury.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a first and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.